gonna draw one of my characters today. New character. And I need to figure out some of his emotions. So that's kind of what I'm gonna be working on. But I figured I would just record and have you guys tell me what you think of him when you're done. When I'm done. When you're done watching. Whatever. You know what? It's when we're both done. Okay, so first of all, quick drawing with a pencil, and I'm using my 2H pencil. And he's a little bit older, so I need to give him a little. Little bit of a it's cold. There we go. There we go. Clothing. Nope, this has to be over here because his neck is there. Okay. Okay. I'm just drawing here. I'm sorry, I got an emergency notification on my phone. Basically, it's just the same thing. This coronavirus notification that happens every day. Multiple times a day. But I'm really glad that they do that. But on the other hand, it's really frustrating. Okay, so here he is, and I've got some problems already. I need to figure out this isn't right. That's better. I have this habit of drawing very quickly, very sketchy, and then losing track of what it's really supposed to look like later. I mean, it's always pretty decent, but anyway, we'll see how he turns out. You know what? I'm going to change his hair. This won't be who I was going to draw after all. There. I like that better. Okay. Oof. So, I'm going to take away a few of the pencil lines that don't belong there. Again, I'm using an incredibly soft and gentle eraser for this because I do not want to push graphite into this paper. This is watercolor paper and I don't want to have a whole bunch of graphite in it. If you use abrasive erasers, they will tend to scratch your paper and the watercolor never sits on it properly. And that should go there instead. Okay. And this should go here instead. Okay. Now I'm happy. Alright, so for face, I'm going to take a little bit of a fauvist approach, which means that I'm not going to just use straight on face color. Not that there is a face color, but whatever his color for his face is, which I'm thinking is like a light brown, I'm not going to straight go in with that color. I want to do an underpainting first. Underpainting is when you take another color and you go in and you sort of block out certain areas. Like for this case, in his case, it's blue. I'm using blue for anything that would be in shadow. And so if he's looking, think of if he's looking at a camera, because he's looking at a camera, this camera right here, right? He's looking at this camera, and there's a light source that's coming down from the direction of the camera. Because of that, he's going to, we need to make sure that the light source matches. So I'm going to put the light source over here, coming from this side, which means that this side is going to be darker and in shadow. And that means this is in shadow, and that means this part of his eye is in shadow, and that part right there. And although this is going to be very bright, there's going to be a little touch of shadow here. There's going to be a little touch of shadow there. Not there, but it doesn't matter because we're underpainting. Okay, so now I've figured out where the light parts are and the shadow parts are, and the shadow parts are blue. So the light parts, I'm going to go in and use orange. Trust me, it'll make sense later. Yellow is not a warm color. Yellow is a neutral color. Everybody say it. Yellow is a neutral color. Yellow is neutral. It's sold to us as being a warm color because there's yellow in fire. But the problem with that is that yellow can be either warm or cool. If you mix yellow with green, it's cool. If you mix yellow with red, it's warm. And it's just so touchy as to how much you put in on one side or the other. All right, I like that. Doesn't that look awesome? Looks just like a person. Woohoo! No, trust me, it will. All right, so I've decided that he is going to have dark brown skin. He's going to have black hair. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to use dark brown and black. His hair, I'm going to start with all Payne's Gray mixed with, where's my Payne's Gray? There it is. Payne's Gray mixed with green. And I have this sort of cool green. Now, he's kind of an older dude, so we're gonna give him some salt and pepper hair. Because hair is not actually... Oh. There are so many things, rules that we've been told all along that are not necessarily true 100% of the time. If I want to do black hair, and I just did plain black hair, it would elevate this into a much more cartoonish level than it already is. And I don't really want that. What I want is I want something that looks believable but unrealistic. Okay, he's not a real guy, but he still needs to be believable. And if I use gray instead of black, that'll start on the way for being believable, unrealistic. After all, he is my darling. He's the beauty. He is gorgeous. He is going to be bronzed. I'm using orange. I'm using orange, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of blue. And I'm going to get this sort of greenish brown color. And that is what I'm going to wash over him. Wash. It's still not quite... That's alright. Now, remember how we did some blue and some yellow? And now you're starting to see how that works. Blue on the shadow parts, yellow on the highlight parts. Or actually orange. I use orange, it just looks yellow here. Neutral. Okay. I have a floating head. Yes! Hey, a floating head is halfway there. Although I'm not halfway there, it feels like it. And so that makes me feel good. Okay, now I have to make so many decisions at this point about his clothing, about his eyes, about his hair. And I think at this point, if you look at his face is very orange right now. And we're going to go even more orange. Because remember, brown is orange. It's just a really dark orange. Okay, so if we are going to have orange here, and his hair is like a steel green-gray color, then how can I make everything else pop? I'm going to give him a blue coat. Orange and blue are complementary colors. So whatever I do with his clothing, I want it to push back or pull forward so it is separate from the rest of him. So what I'm doing right now is I'm mixing some ultramarine and Prussian blue, and I'm going to just come in and block out this blue coat, which makes sense anyway because he's kind of a salty sea dog, so he can just have kind of a navy coat. This whole thing is about color theory. Anytime you're doing paintings, your brain needs to go into color theory, and there are certain things that you just have to learn, and they will help you so much. Okay, so we have the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And we know how to mix them, right? Red and yellow equals orange, blue and yellow equals green, blue and red equals purple. So we've got all that basic information. And then you find out that there are complementary colors, which are red and green. Okay, so you've got red, which is the primary. And so green is its complement because green is a combination of the other two. But it goes further than that. Because any of the colors along there can be complementary. So if I have red-orange, then the complement to that would be blue-green. Okay, so you can sit there thinking about all of these different complementary colors. Now the way that complementary colors work is that if you put one next to the other, they will they'll really pop against each other. Sometimes you'll even get your eyes will experience sort of a vibration on the edge between the two. We can use that to our advantage every time. And the more nuances you put in your painting, in your watercolor, using those colors, the more dramatic it'll be. Okay, so like this is a very flat blue right now. But if I take a lighter blue in here, and it's not just a light blue, but it's a warm blue. So I have cold, you know, Prussian blue is a really cold blue. It's very cool. And I put some contrast in there, and I put some contrast on over here on the other side. But if I go in with like a cerulean blue, which is almost a teal, it's almost like a blue-green, so it's a very warm blue, and that's just gonna bring everything out. Just bring it all up to the foreground. But it's still going to pop against him. This is color theory. This is how you use color theory to your advantage. Alright, his face is going to be brown. I'm going to do some brown in here. But I'm not using regular brown. What I'm doing is I'm using a sienna. And the sienna is a really cool dark brown. And I'm mixing it with that orange. Orange. light brown, dark brown, mix them together because we don't use any straight colors. That's too dark. Now, you notice I'm testing it over on the far side where the shadows are to see if it's too light or too dark. That's where we're going to go. And then I noticed that it was a little too dark, so I came back up in here and fixed it. And I can always take a little bit off later when I do the highlights, because his eyes are going to get a little bit muddled in all this. And so I'll have to go back in and do some highlights using probably gouache, white gouache, or comic white or something like that. But when I go back and do that, I can make adjustments to the other parts too. So he has cool lips. Again, cool red, so that they pull off and stay away from his warm skin tone. Okay, but his nose is going to be a warm pink. Every single person can have a flushed nose. It doesn't matter your skin color. This is blood rushing to your nose, rushing to your cheeks. People blush. They really do. People get sunburned. They really do. Cats jump into windows. She just did. Okay. Now, my shadows are getting muddy again. What this is telling me is that I need to stop this part, wait, let it dry a little bit, and do some blending, and then come back. So I have started here on the coat. I'm actually really happy with the coat the way it looks right now, but we need to give him a scarf. And what color is this scarf going to be? We're going to go brown again, because it'll be an extension of his face. Okay, but in this case I want to do a cool brown. Oh, maybe I can go like a reddish brown. That's what I'll do. I'll mix red and brown together. Oops. And because we're going underneath some of these, we'll do some shadows. Okay. That is still really, really wet. If I go in there right now, you can see this kind of crinkled a little bit. If I go in there right now with my brush, it's going to probably destroy a lot of what I've done. Let me give him some eyelashes and details in the eyes and details in the eyebrows. Okay, I'm turning. Okay. Okay. I know I'm not talking a whole lot right now. I'm actually worried that my camera is going to go out, but you can kind of see where it's going. I'm sorry about the poor lighting right now. I was making videos earlier in the day and the light coming in from outside was absolutely perfect, but now I have a very unfortunate placement of my desk, so I don't have very good lighting over here. Actually, it's from a single light source, which is right there, over there, and that's part of the problem. But maybe I can afford some better lighting later. Lighting is really expensive, and it sucks that it's that expensive. Because what do they expect us to do? Go back to candles? Why does it cost 85,000 won for a lamp? Alright, his eyes are going to be brown. Because brown eyes are beautiful. Actually, lots of eyes are beautiful, but I think he needs brown eyes. Ooh. There's a cat hair. So, love cats. Biggest disadvantage of cats is that they put cat hair everywhere. Cat hair goes everywhere. Okay. His shirt's going to be a pale blue. No, it's going to be medium blue, I think. Medium blue. But I'm going to use an opaque. Okay, so I am mixed this with some gouache. Again, gouache is like opaque watercolor. Okay, you gotta come all the way up here. Opaque watercolor. And I have in my palette, hold on, let me just bring it over here and you can see. I have this blue, which I have mixed with gouache. So it is an opaque, pale blue. And I have one here of purple, and I have a couple of orange, I have one of pink, I have one of yellow over here, and I have a green right there, which you can't see very well. So what I do is I have some of these that are mixed with gouache so that I can go in and put in details that will stand out from the paper. Okay, so most of watercolor, because it's translucent, the paper gives it some brightness and some whiteness, but it also gives it a different texture and a different feel, and it will react differently in the paper. But because gouache is opaque, it does not get that, and you can use that when you need to have things set on top. Okay, I need to go back in and put some shadows in here because I lost a lot. Oh, I splashed water on here? Yeah, I don't care. Wait, it's messy? I don't care. You'll see why. It's a thing that I do, and some people do. So, you know, everybody has their own things that they like. So I'm going to show you my techniques and the things that I like. Alright, that's better. Better. Okay, I need to fix the lips, but right now that's going to be good. Okay. I'm so close to doing some other techniques on here. But I need to get that hair in. I need to get that hair. Let me go back to my green. My green gray. Green gray. Okay. And oops, sorry camera, I didn't mean to do that to you. Camera, you're my friend. Okay. We're getting muddy in here, so now I gotta stop and dry. Oops, wait, I'm gonna blend. Then I'm gonna stop and dry and start putting in some highlights. I am gonna detail a little bit using my mixture of Payne's Gray and Ivory Black. Okay, so I have I don't like Ivory Black. I have a hate-hate relationship with it unless it is mixed with something else. Ivory Black is kind of this charcoal warm black. And it doesn't really do much except flatten things out. Your pupil black. Pupil black. Okay. It flattens things out like nobody's business, and I really don't like flat stuff. So what I do is I give it depth by mixing it with Payne's Gray. And Payne's Gray is this gorgeous, really dark, rich gray, kind of like the Prussian blue of grays. And speaking of Prussian blue, I gotta go back in here. Okay, and so I can mix those two, and it makes a wonderful color, really rich black. As you can kind of see in his hair, there's a really rich black there. Ooh. That's an expensive black. It's so rich. Okay, back to 2 more things. This has to be brought out. Lips are red, people. Lips are red. Your nose is a little bit red. To go with the brown. And you need to be a little bit more brown. So I'm going to do one more wash over and blending. Now, I'm not doing all of him brown. And there's a reason for that, because people have, the skin color we will read is the darkest skin color that's on his face, which is a sort of, you know, rich light brown. And so we'll read that and we'll be able to understand. But the rest of him has, you know, we have many different pigments in our skin. Your skin is not all one color. Nobody is one color. Okay, this is looking pretty good. That is completely wet and muddy, so I need to let that dry before I do anything there. However, I can start reconstituting my gouache. And what I do is I will take some water, and I'm just going to put some absolutely pure clean water. Ugh, I just ruined that. I'll turn it up. Pure clean water, drip some into my gouache. Alright, and I'm going to let that sit for a little while. It needs to, this guy right here, it needs to soften up a lot. So we're going to make him really soft. And right now, as you see, it's kind of, well, it's really hard actually. But that's not going to be white enough for me. I need to be able to go in and practically dry brush this stuff on there. Because remember, I told you he's going to be a little salt and pepper dude. He's got to have salt and pepper hair. So that means that this is going to, this has to get a lot more opaque. And see, right now it's still pretty liquid. If I take in a, this is this little sample swatch. If I go on here, you can kind of see it right away, but then once that dries, it's gonna just kind of be, you won't see that X. So I gotta let it sit for a little, cook for a little while. In the meantime, I'm gonna start dealing with this background here because I want him to be someplace cold. And cold means blue. Okay, so if it's going to be winter, I'm going to put some blue in here. Start with some landscaping. But I don't want it to be like in a winter wonderland type thing, because he is definitely an ocean guy. So we're going to make it a full-on ocean here. The nice thing about watercolor is you can let it do what it does. Water I put this here, it will turn into water. It'll blend sort of in its own way. I'll do some splatters on there too. So we're gonna continue the water over here, but I also need to, yes, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking to my cat. Okay, now white gouache. Let's take a look here. There are certain parts of the face that will have a little bit of a reflection. Okay, so you're gonna have in your eye, here, 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 here. The nose is going to have a little bit of a reflection. Forehead is going to have a reflection. Over here, on the lip, and there. Now I'm going to actually touch this and then give it just a little bit over there and on this side too. Alright. Now, I'm also going to use my, remember I said there was the gouache that was mixed with pink? So I'm going to use my pink gouache. And I'm going to add some in here. Okay, that's my pink gouache. And I'm going to add some of my orangey gouache, but with a little bit more orange in it. Oh, come on. Where is my orange? There it is. Ha ha ha. How can I lose orange? So I am a huge fan of the Impressionists and Impressionist paintings and things, and so I really like having little spots of color. It feels like it should be there. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit more shadow on this side. Okay, almost there. And so I'm just going to give you some stubble. And I'm going to town on this. Okay, it's not just stubble. He's going to have a little bit of a beard. But that's not much of a beard. Why is it so small? Just wait, just wait. The best is yet to come. Best is yet to come. Ready? Oh, there's one more thing I forgot to do. Two things. Okay, there. And, since I have my gouache here, let's go ahead and do it. Oh, my white is not very white today. I think I need to put some more gouache on there. I also think there's another option. Okay, since this white is not working for me very well, I'm going to show you the next option, which some of you may know is using white acrylic. And with my white acrylic, I don't have my little plastic, so I'm going to use this as my palette here, because I don't want much. Just a little tiny thing of white acrylic. Okay, so acrylic paint can mix with... Hey! No, no, no. That was my cat. She just knocked my empty. Acrylic you can actually mix with watercolor. I'm not using it to mix with watercolor, but I am going to use it as a very white highlight, because the white that I have is old and it didn't, you know, it wasn't very strong. So I'm going to use this instead, which is whiter, and I'm also going to use this in my ocean. And I'm also going to use this on here, I think. The other thing you can do with acrylic paint that you can do with watercolor as well, but it's not quite as effective, is dry brushing textures on fabric. So if I want to give this more texture, I can do it by dry brushing some in. Dry brushing means that you have your brush is dry, your paint is also very dry. It's not quite wet. But the problem is I don't get the detail that I like. Yes, I could use comic white, but it's okay. He's still handsome. He's still some super salty, wonderful dude. Okay, I see lots of things that I want to change, but you guys get the idea, right? So just want to do like complete black in here. Chiaroscuro the heck out of this thing. But it's so muddy. This is what happens when you don't give it enough time to dry. It's okay. I like them. I'm going to sign my name to it. And you guys, if you like these videos, if you want to see more of me doing watercolors, if you want to see me doing any specific thing, drawing with pencils, doing inking, whatever, let me know. There's a comment section on YouTube, and there's also a like button, and both of those will tell me that you want to see more. Okay? And of course you can subscribe, and that way you'll know whenever I start a new one. You'll be like the first ones to know. Alright. I'm going to keep working on this, and you guys have a good night, and I hope to make another one for you soon. Bye-bye.